Hello and welcome to another edition of MBL Timeout podcast with your host, Serp. Today is Tuesday, September 15th, and it is about 1:25 Eastern Time. The MBL right now is currently in week 6. We had just changed over last night during the MBL live broadcast on EA's Twitch. They had to change over to get some newer games week 6 that we needed to play, which Eric G was on the call, which was awesome. Listen to it. It was great. Good job. It was first time on there commentating. I think it was about 1,600 individuals listening. So that's the bomb. What am I going to talk about today? Well, I think we're going to talk about, I wanted to go over some of the trades. I know we had a few bigger trades at the beginning of the season that, I'd just like to visit maybe around week 5, 6 or around this time to see, hey, what did it pay off? And if it did it pay off for both teams, one team, or did both of them get shited on? Some of the current undefeated teams I was going to go over, which actually there are only 2 now. There was 3 at the time that I was going to put this into the podcast. There's only 2 now. Wide receiver Ruggs, being the offensive rookie of the year pick, and then some of the injuries. And then, of course, I'll always go over the, kind of who's up in the AFC, who's up in the NFC, and kind of how the playoff pictures and standings are looking, since that's kind of a pretty important part of the weeks. So to start off, I guess we'll go with the standings, since that's pretty simple. We got the AFC East with the Dolphins still leading, but they took 2 losses now. They were undefeated for a while. They're at 4-2. Buffalo Bills 3-2 right underneath them after a big win last night on live. New England Patriots 3-2, and myself at 2-3 with the Jets. AFC West, who knows? It's anybody's game over there. Kansas City Chiefs 3-2, Denver Broncos 3-3, which they were well above, looking like they were going to be the favorites for the AFC West Denver. But Kansas City Chiefs 3-2, Denver Broncos 3-3, Los Angeles Chargers 2-3, and the Las Vegas Raiders 0-5, not doing too good there. AFC North, we got the Cleveland Browns 5-0. One of the only undefeated teams left. Pittsburgh Steelers 4-1, and those are your 2 kind of vying for the AFC North. And you got the Bengals at 2-4, the Ravens at 2-4. AFC South, Indianapolis Colts 5-1, seem to be one of the favorites in the AFC in general, the AFC conference itself. Jacksonville Jaguars 4-2, and then you've got Texans at 1-4, and the Titans at 0-5. So that is the AFC. Then we got the NFC East. Philadelphia Eagles 3-3, Washington Football Team 2-3, New York Giants 2-3, Cowboys 1-4. So it looks like there's a 3-way kind of running for the NFC. Yeah, it's still early in the season, so I'm sure we'll see a lot of people start pulling away here. But Seattle Seahawks, NFC West 5-0. I mean, they're taking it. There's really no going over the rest. But Arizona Cardinals 3-2, Niners 3-3, Rams 3-3. So everybody else is sitting pretty even in there, with the Seattle Seahawks standing out at the top. NFC North, Bears 2-3, Packers 2-3, Vikings 2-4, Detroit Lions 1-4. That's anybody's division over there right now. Bears have suffered a lot of injuries. I know they had Tariq Cohen go down, and then they also had they have another running back, I think Montgomery. They got and then Leno went down. I mean, they've been really hit with the injury bug this season. So Atlanta Falcons, so we're at the NFC South now. Atlanta Falcons 5-1, New Orleans Saints 4-1, Panthers 3-2, Buccaneers 2-4. So, Falcons, Saints, Panthers kind of right there. So that is the division, or the divisions. It looks like pretty much Dolphins, Chiefs, Broncos, Browns, Colts, and then the Seahawks, Eagles, probably the Bears, even though they're getting hit pretty hard with the injuries, and Falcons. I mean, that really looks like what it is so far as the number 1 playoff pictures. And then we've got some of the players. Looks like Carson Wentz is kind of coming up towards the top as being in the lead for passing. We got Drew Lock, Jared Goff, Jacob Eason, Gardner Minshew. Rushing, we got Joe Mixon, Phillip Lindsay, Matt Breida, Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette. Receiving, we got Hopkins, Jalen Reagor, Ruggs, 33 receptions, 705 yards, and 5 touchdowns for him. So he's having a great rookie year. Odell Beckham, Jerry Jeudy. And then defensively, we've got, Mike Hughes, Eric Kendricks, Levante David, Ricardo Allen, Justin Simmons, as far as tackles and being around the ball. Sacks, we got J.J. Watt, Bud Dupree, Chase Young, Damon Harrison Sr., Michael Pierce. And then as far as interceptions would go in the secondary, we've got Marcus Peters, Deion Jones, Tre'Davious White, Marcus Williams, and Julian Blackmon. So, that's a little bit of the stats up and through about midway through week 6. So there are some teams that haven't played yet that, their stats may take them up and make them leaders at the end of this week, but we're just going with what we got now and some of the division leaders. So on to the next topic that I was going to talk about, the big trade. So the one that I picked was the Cleveland and Kansas City trade. Cleveland sent Nick Chubb and a fourth to Kansas City, who gave them Hardman and a first. Now, going through the stats and how everybody's been playing, I mean, obviously the Browns have really benefited from adding Hardman to the team. Right now, Hardman is stationed as the number 2 wide receiver, 22 years old, has 256 yards, 51.2 yards a game, and 4 touchdowns. So he's definitely producing. There's no doubt about that. And having 3 solid wide receivers now, starting for the Browns is definitely helpful. And then on the other side of the ball, I mean, now obviously Kansas City's record isn't as good as Cleveland's, but I mean, Nick Chubb has done phenomenal. I mean, 24 years old, he's got 361 yards, 7 touchdowns, 9 broken tackles, and a 6.1 yard per rush average. So 7 touchdowns in, he's averaging 1 a game. I mean, he's giving you 7 points a game guaranteed. That's worth a lot. And being, 24 years old doesn't hurt. That he's got a long, I mean, he's going to be one of the obviously top rushers in the MBL, hands down. So the trade, I think, in the end was good for both of them. I mean, I think maybe the Browns got a little bit of a better deal out of it just because that first 2, I mean, geez, they got Hardman, who's 22, and a first, but Kansas City needed Chubb, and he's definitely making an impact and taking care of business on the ground. That's for sure. 7 touchdowns through week. I think they did play their 6th, if they haven't or not. So either 5 or 6 is what he's through with them 7 touchdowns. So some of the most notable injuries, we've got T.J. Watt for the Ravens. I think he's actually coming back pretty soon. So their defense will like that. The Bears I spoke about already. They had halfback Cohen, so Tariq Cohen and Montgomery out. And I think Cohen is actually coming back next week. I think he's got 1 week left. San Francisco, Bosa. Nick Bosa just went out for 5 weeks. And they got Debo, the wide receiver, out. And the Pats just lost Sony. So that's going to kind of hinder their run game as well. And then just to recap a few things that were a little bit notable on the Bleacher Report. And you can catch them too. That's the MBL Bleacher Report on Twitter. It looks like the Washington football team faces off against New York Giants tonight, or today, this week anyway. They're both 2-3, so we'll see which one's going to leave with the victory there and tie with the Eagles for the division. So yeah, I mean, that would be a tied division right there. One of them's going to either the football team or the New York Giants are going to be tied with the Eagles for that division. Then we also had, looks like Aaron Donald was kind of getting it back together. He was lost. Nobody could find him for quite some time. Now he's got a sack in back-to-back games, especially in the last upset win against Washington. And he even took one to the house, it looks like. So good on Aaron Donald. He's coming around. Maybe he'll stick around. It looks like we got a little small move, a 6th to the Panthers for cornerback TJ Green. So the Panthers weren't playing him or anything. So looks like we're going to, he's going to be sent away. So TJ Green's leaving the Panthers for a 6th. The Vikings got a couple re-signs going on. Holton Hill, 5 years, $12.8 million. He's a cornerback. I think he's kind of a later on down the line guy, but, both young. And Pat Elfine, 4 years, $25 million. So a couple young players staying around for the Vikings. Then we've got, a lot of talk about the Bears. They started off strong, 2-0 on the season. Last 3 games in a row they dropped, and a lot of it's probably due because of the injuries, and I had went over that. I mean, you've got no run game. Well, I mean, I don't even know who they got starting out there. And then we've got the Broncos, best offenses and worst defenses. So average of 68 points has been scored in their games. So 68 points in the games. That's a lot of scoring going on. It makes for interesting games, but that is a hell of a lot of scoring. Evan Ingram has been doing well. He leads all the MBL tight ends in yards and touchdowns. So if you're thinking about, if maybe you're an MBL member and you're talking about fantasy football, or the MBL fantasy anyway, Ingram's a good one. Whoever's got him is probably pretty happy. Dallas is sitting at 1-4, which is very strange because I predicted Dallas to take the NFC East. So yeah, that's a little bit odd. It looks like, they're giving up 36 points per game. They're giving up 358 yards allowed, giving up 266 pass yards around and 91 rush yards allowed. That's a lot of yards to give up. Then it got a little bit something about my Jets. Looks like we've been doing all right. I mean, as far as the way they came out the box, I mean, I only expected to win 2 or 3 games in the whole entire season. So the way the defense has been playing has been just out of sight. I mean, they're pounding people, so I hope they keep that up. The Bills re-signed Matt Milano, 3 years, $24.5 million. Sony Michel, broken ribs. He's going to miss the next month. That's how long he's got out. Okay, so that's that injury. He was averaging 5.7 yards per carry and has 7 touchdowns too. So that's a huge blow to the Pats, especially when, that division right now with the Finns losing them 2. So they're at 4-2. The Bills are at 3 and something. Hopefully I beat the Chargers and I'll be at 3 and something too. And train. A little wink at you, bud. We should be playing here sometime soon. I mean, that would, that really hurts the Pats. That really hurts. Those injuries can really tear you apart. NFC Defensive Player of the Year. It looks like the Falcons. And they're talking about Deion Jones. So early view of maybe who BR is going to pick for the NFC Defensive Player of the Year. He's got 6 interceptions, 1 sack, 1 fumble return, and 2 touchdowns for Deion Jones, middle linebacker. AFC Defensive Player of the Year. It looks like they're going to go with Bud Dupree. Well, that's a given. So Pittsburgh, he's got 15 tackles, 6 tacks, 3 forced fumbles, a fumble return, and a swat. I mean, I could see Bud Dupree winning that fairly easily the way things are going right now. AFC Offensive Player of the Year. It looks like they got running back Matt Breida. Yeah, I mean, was the reason, I think, one of the main reason that the Finns were undefeated, and I mean, not anymore, but still doing very well. 568 yards and 5 touchdowns, and that was only would have been through week 5, I would imagine, is when they put that up. That was about a day ago or so, 24 hours ago. Yeah, wow. I mean, and let's see, we got defensive. Oh no, so we still got Jeremy Chin, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Yeah. So, I mean, that's what we got for today's podcast. Look to have some more interesting news for you next week. I would imagine we're going to be it seems like we're going through again, just like the last season of Madden 20. I mean, we're advancing almost within 24 hours again. So the next time podcast, I might have to bring in a couple of days as opposed to another week, just so we can get some more info in before we end up hitting week 10 or something by the end of next week. So that's been my time, and we'll talk at you later.